What would you do if you found a wallet lying on the street? Not just any wallet, but one that belongs to one of the richest men in the world, Elon Musk. Most people would hesitate. Some would pocket the cash and run. After all, when you have nothing, isn't this a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity? But this boy? He didn't do what most people would. Instead, he made a choice that shocked everyone, a choice that would change his life forever. Before we dive into this unbelievable story, take a second to smash that like button, subscribe for more inspiring content, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an amazing story like this. And here's a question for you. If you found a billionaire's wallet lying on the street, what would you do? Drop your answer in the comments. Let's see how many honest people are out there. Now, let's get into the story. The cold wind howled through the city streets as 14-year-old Jaden Carter pulled his thin, ragged jacket tighter around his shivering body. He had been homeless for almost a year now, ever since his mother passed away, and his father, drowning in grief and financial struggles, disappeared without a trace. With no relatives to turn to, Jaden had been forced to fend for himself. Every day was a battle for survival. Some days he found a little food at the shelter. Other days, he went to sleep with an empty stomach. He had learned to adapt, to be quick, to be smart, to take opportunities where he could find them, but never to steal. His mother had always told him, no matter how hard life gets, always do the right thing. Your kindness will come back to you one day. Those words echoed in his mind every time he saw an unattended sandwich on a cafe table or a forgotten bag left on a park bench. He would stare, tempted, but then he would walk away. Because deep down he knew, being poor didn't mean he had to lose his integrity. And yet, today felt different. Jaden's stomach growled loudly as he walked along the sidewalk, his bare feet aching against the rough pavement. The city was alive with people. Businessmen in suits rushing past, cars honking, tourists taking pictures. But no one noticed him. No one ever did. Then, just as he was about to cross the street, something caught his eye. A black leather wallet sitting near the curb. He hesitated. It could belong to anyone. His heart pounded as he slowly bent down and picked it up. The leather was soft and expensive, the kind he had only seen in store windows. His fingers trembled as he flipped it open. And then, his breath caught in his throat. Inside was a wad of crisp $100 bills, neatly stacked together. More money than Jaden had ever seen in his entire life. His hands shook as he counted them. $1,000? $2,000, maybe even more. But that wasn't what shocked him the most. Tucked into one of the compartments was an ID card. And on it, a familiar face stared back at him. Elon Musk, the billionaire, the Tesla and SpaceX guy, the man whose name was on the news every day. This wallet belonged to him. Jaden's mind raced. 1,000 thoughts hit him all at once. This could change everything. I could buy food, clothes, maybe even a place to sleep for a few nights. Who would even know? But then, his mother's voice echoed in his head again. No matter how hard life gets, always do the right thing. Jaden closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and made his decision. Little did he know, this one act of honesty would set off a chain of events that would change his life forever. Jaden stood on the cold pavement, gripping the wallet tightly in his small hands. His fingers trembled, not from the chilly breeze sweeping through the city streets, but from the overwhelming weight of the decision before him. This wasn't just any wallet. It belonged to Elon Musk, one of the richest and most influential men in the world. Inside, crisp $100 bills peeked out from the edges, along with sleek black credit cards that likely had no spending limit. More importantly, the ID confirmed it. This was real. Jaden's stomach clenched as hunger gnawed at him. It had been 2 days since he'd eaten anything substantial. A few scraps from a dumpster and half a stale sandwich he'd found on a park bench weren't enough to silence the aching void in his belly. The money in his hands could buy him warm meals for weeks, maybe even get him a cheap place to stay for a while. No one would ever know if he just took a little. He stared at the bustling streets around him. People hurried past, too busy with their own lives to notice a homeless kid standing alone. He could simply slip the cash into his pocket, toss the wallet, and walk away. But something deep inside wouldn't let him. Jaden closed his eyes and took a deep breath. He thought of his mother, back when life was normal, before everything fell apart. She always told him, no matter how hard life gets, never lose your integrity. She had lived by that principle, even when things got rough. Even when they barely had enough to eat, she had never stolen, never cheated, never taken advantage of others. Jaden clenched his jaw. Could he really betray everything she stood for? Yes, he was hungry. Yes, he was tired. But he still had his dignity. He wouldn't let desperation turn him into someone he wasn't. With newfound determination, he made his decision. He was going to return the wallet. But how? Jaden had no phone, no internet, no way to contact a billionaire. He could take it to the police, but something told him that if he did, the wallet might never make its way back to its rightful owner. Then, he remembered something. Just the other day, he had seen a massive billboard advertising a high-profile tech conference at one of the city's most luxurious hotels. The event was supposed to feature some of the biggest names in the industry, and if Elon Musk was in town, he was likely there. It was a long shot, but it was the only lead he had. Jaden tightened his grip on the wallet and set off toward the hotel. The walk was exhausting. Jaden's legs ached from fatigue, and his thin jacket did little to protect him from the crisp evening air. The streets grew brighter as he neared the downtown area, the towering buildings shimmering with neon lights. He passed lavish restaurants where people dined on meals that cost more than he had seen in his entire life. Despite the exhaustion, hope kept him moving forward. After nearly an hour of walking, he finally reached the Grand Hotel where the conference was being held. The entrance was lined with expensive cars, sleek black limousines, and high-end sports cars with tinted windows. The lobby gleamed with gold chandeliers and marble floors, and well-dressed guests moved in and out, engaged in important conversations. Jaden hesitated. How was he supposed to get inside? The doors were guarded by massive security personnel in black suits, scanning everyone who entered. Jaden took a deep breath and approached one of them. "Excuse me, sir," he said, his voice shaky but firm. "I found something that belongs to Elon Musk. It's really important that I return it to him." The guard barely glanced at him. "Kid, this is a private event. No entry without a pass." "But it's his wallet," Jaden insisted, holding it up. "I swear, I'm not lying." The guard sighed, clearly annoyed. "Nice try, kid. Now move along." Jaden felt his heart sink. He'd come all this way, only to be turned away at the door. Had he just wasted his time? But then, a voice spoke from behind him. "What's going on here?" Jaden turned to see a man in a sharp suit with an earpiece, stepping forward with curiosity. He looked important, maybe hotel staff or part of the security team. The guard responded quickly, "Just some kid making up a story about Elon Musk's wallet." Jaden's eyes widened. "I'm not making it up, I swear. Look, his ID is inside." The man frowned and reached for the wallet. He opened it and pulled out the ID card. His expression changed instantly. "This is real," he murmured, his eyes flicking to Jaden with newfound interest. The security guard straightened. "Wait, what?" The suited man nodded and spoke into his earpiece. "We have a situation at the entrance. Get a message to Mr. Musk immediately." Jaden held his breath. Was this really happening? The radio crackled with a response. "Mr. Musk wants to see the boy. Bring him up." Jaden's heart pounded in his chest. This was it. He had no idea that his simple act of honesty was about to change his life forever. Jaden's heart pounded in his chest as he followed the security guard through the grand lobby of the hotel. The polished marble floors gleamed under the dazzling chandelier lights, and people in expensive suits moved about, deep in important conversations. Jaden felt completely out of place in his ragged clothes and worn-out sneakers, but he held his head high. This was it. He was about to meet Elon Musk himself. As they approached the private elevator, Jaden swallowed hard. He had seen Musk on TV, in interviews, and on social media, but never in his wildest dreams did he think he would meet him in person. The elevator door slid open with a quiet chime, and Jaden stepped inside, his pulse racing. The ride up felt like forever. When the doors finally opened, Jaden was led down a sleek hallway, and before he knew it, he was standing outside a private conference room. The security guard knocked, then stepped aside as the door swung open. And there he was, Elon Musk. Dressed in a sharp blazer and dark jeans, Musk stood near a massive floor-to-ceiling window, gazing out at the city skyline. He turned around, his piercing blue eyes locking onto Jaden. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Musk took a step forward, looking down at the wallet in Jaden's hands. "So, you found my wallet?" he asked, his voice calm yet curious. Jaden nodded quickly and held it out. "Yes, sir, I found it on the street. I wanted to make sure it got back to you." Musk took the wallet, flipping it open and checking its contents. After a moment, he looked back up at Jaden. "You didn't take anything?" Jaden shook his head firmly. "No, sir. It wouldn't be right." Musk studied him, his expression unreadable. Then, after a long pause, a small smile formed on his lips. "Not many people would have done that," he said, slipping the wallet into his pocket. "Especially not someone in your situation." Jaden shifted uncomfortably. He wasn't used to people acknowledging his struggles. "I just did what my mom always told me, always do the right thing." Musk's smile grew. "That's a rare mindset, kid." He gestured for Jaden to sit on a nearby chair. Musk took a seat across from him, folding his hands on the table. "Tell me about yourself. Where do you live?" Jaden hesitated. He had spent so long trying to avoid that question, but something about Musk's tone made him feel like he could be honest. "I don't have a home," he admitted softly. "Not since my mom passed away." Musk's expression darkened slightly, but he nodded. "And you've been surviving on your own?" Jaden nodded. "I get by." For a moment, Musk said nothing. He just stared at Jaden, as if assessing something deeper. Then, suddenly, he reached into his pocket and pulled out his checkbook. Jaden's eyes widened as Musk started writing. When he finished, Musk tore out the check and handed it to Jaden. "Here," he said. Jaden looked down at the piece of paper in his trembling hands. His jaw dropped. $50,000. His breath hitched. "Sir, this is too much." Musk chuckled. "It's not. You showed honesty and integrity when no one was watching. That's worth more than money." Jaden felt his eyes sting. For the first time in a long time, he felt seen. Musk leaned forward. "But I don't want this to just be about money. I want to help you get back on your feet. How about this? You use this money to find a place to stay, get some proper meals, and in the meantime, I'll set you up with a mentor in one of my companies, someone who can help you figure out what you want to do in life." Jaden's heart felt like it might burst. Was this really happening? Why are you helping me?" he whispered. Musk smiled. "Because people like you deserve a chance." Jaden didn't know what to say. His entire life had been a struggle, and now, in a matter of minutes, everything had changed. As he gripped the check, reality slowly sank in. This wasn't just money. This was a new beginning. And it all started because he chose to do the right thing. Little did he know, this was just the beginning of a journey that would change his life forever. Jaden walked out of the towering hotel with the check clutched tightly in his hands, his mind spinning. $50,000. It didn't feel real. He had spent so long scraping by, fighting to survive each day, and now everything had changed in the blink of an eye. He wasn't just holding a check, he was holding a second chance at life. As he stepped onto the sidewalk, the city felt different. The same streets he had walked for months, begging for food, no longer seemed so cold and unforgiving. Instead, for the first time in what felt like forever, he felt hope. But Jaden knew that money alone wouldn't change his life. He needed to make this opportunity count. His first stop was a local bank. The teller looked skeptical when he handed over the check, but after verifying it, her eyes widened and she nodded in approval. "Would you like to open an account, sir?" she asked. "Sir." Jaden had never been called that before. He nodded. "Yes, please." With a bank account set up, he moved on to his next goal, finding a safe place to stay. Instead of wasting the money on something temporary, he checked into a small but clean hostel for at-risk youth, where he could get support while figuring out his next steps. That night, for the first time in what felt like forever, Jaden slept in a real bed, warm, safe, and no longer just another forgotten soul on the streets. A few days later, while sitting in a coffee shop, Jaden's phone, one he had purchased using a small part of the money, buzzed with an unknown number. "Hello," he answered cautiously. "Jaden? This is David Parker, one of the directors at Tesla. Mr. Musk asked me to check in on you." Jaden's heart skipped a beat. "Yes, sir. I wasn't expecting this." David chuckled. "Well, Elon doesn't make empty promises. He wanted me to introduce you to some people who can help you explore different opportunities. He thinks you have a sharp mind, and from what I've heard about your story, I have to agree." Jaden swallowed hard. This was really happening. David continued. If you're up for it, we'd like to invite you to a mentorship program, sometime at our company, learning from top professionals. No pressure, but it could be the first step towards something bigger. Jaden didn't even hesitate. Yes, I'd love that. The following week, Jaden found himself standing in front of Tesla's headquarters, a place he had only ever seen in news articles and videos. Now, he wasn't just an outsider looking in, he was part of something bigger. David greeted him at the entrance, guiding him through the sleek, high-tech facility. Engineers worked on groundbreaking innovations, designers sketched futuristic concepts, and programmers coded complex systems that powered the world's most advanced vehicles. You don't have to know what you want to do yet, David assured him, but we're going to expose you to different areas: engineering, business, marketing, you name it. You've already proven you have the honesty and mindset of a great leader. Now, let's see what else you can do. Jaden nodded, determination burning in his chest. For the first time in his life, he wasn't just surviving. He was building a future. Months passed, and Jaden's life continued to transform. He soaked up knowledge like a sponge, meeting people who inspired him and pushed him to dream bigger than he ever thought possible. And through it all, he never forgot the lesson that started it all. Doing the right thing, even when no one was watching, was always worth it. Elon Musk didn't just give him money, he gave him a chance. And Jaden was determined to make the most of it. From a hungry, homeless boy on the streets to a young man with a future brighter than he had ever imagined. And to think, it all started with a lost wallet. What would you do if you found a billionaire's wallet? Would you return it or be tempted to keep it? Let us know in the comments. If this story inspired you, like the video, subscribe for more incredible stories, and don't forget to share this with someone who needs to hear it. Kindness and honesty can change lives, sometimes in ways you never expect.